At the border of the Hongmeng continent, lightning was continuously striking. The 9 deaths in 1 life realm has dangerous terrain and countless monsters. What caught our eyes was a pair of huge speakers. The girl who was breathing out bubbles just arrived and was chased by a fierce black thunderbolt for 3 days. Is Queen Than with the loudspeaker saying that the old man Ansu is really here? Then remembered an old man lying in the area, coughing and unable to speak. Queen Than. My life is over now. I hand it over to you, the sect master. Queen Than just cried and replied. Yes, master, you kept giving me instructions. Next I have a few words that you must remember in your heart. The master's face showed that he couldn't survive and said, Don't even think about losing the immortal sect. We are a small sect that the divine sword sect wants to wipe out. In fact, the master suddenly stood up and told the story of 100,000 years ago, when the chaos was in its early stages. The immortal sect was lost. We used to be the top sect. At that time, the divine sword sect was something that did not boast of licking our feet. At that time, they had a famous and prestigious old ancestor. That old man was Tuan, generous, talented, virtuous, and slept in the palace. Doan Trin Chao Kuang had no opponents throughout the Hongmong continent. He was an invincible existence. He was truly an extremely Tuan person. Queen Than, beside the exit face, while the master raised his hand and kept explaining, but the old ancestor lived to be invincible and left also to be invincible. 100,000 years ago, he decided to live in seclusion in the realm of 9 tries and 1 life of the Hongmong continent. Is the realm of 9 deaths and 1 life. That place is truly a wolf's den, lurking with countless demons and beasts. It's hard for a hero or a good man to enter. I, a lowly person, have been there once, but as soon as I stepped in, I was scared out of my wits. But luckily at that time I ran away to the evil afternoon light and lost my youth. It was truly terrifying. Sitting next to Queen Than, with a face that didn't understand anything, the old master sat up holding a token in his hand. His eyes glanced at the pair of breasts and continued speaking. The old ancestor, although he was in seclusion, luckily before leaving, he left the sect a Huyan 2 token. The old ancestor said that if there was a problem with the sect's survival, he could bring the token to the brink of death to find someone. When you get there, you will be provided with food and accommodation, and you will also be given a position. If you do well for 300 years, you can buy a Mount 550 and get a cave. You can contribute freely. Think more about it, cultivators like us. Let's ask, what spirit is this of the old ancestor? It is the spirit of great socialism. It is truly wonderful. Mouth learned a lot of red syrup hand-holding. The command token master added, Queen Than. Child, remember before, is the only way can save the life of our sect. Must definitely find the old organization when the sect is destroyed to revive the ancient sect. After saying that, he coughed up blood, and poor Queen Than kept screaming, Master, I am your disciple. She burst into tears. Lang, I can't remember. Remembering what Master said, Queen Than quickly wiped away Master's tears. She looked at the command token in her hand and thought to herself, Master, you've been in seclusion for 100,000 years. Is he really still alive? From somewhere in the sky, a sparrow flew. It landed with fierce eyes. Queen Than was standing there in panic and screaming. It landed with fierce eyes. Queen Than was standing there in panic and screaming. Queen Than's face changed color, thinking to himself, Oh no, this is the legendary great demon Tu U Min Tuok. It is rumored that it considers eating human flesh an extremely ferocious pleasure. Queen Than sat down and cried, I haven't even found the old ancestor yet, but I have to die here, master and disciple. I'm sorry. Suddenly a sparrow flew in, surprising the city. It carried Queen Than on its back and flew to a place where the sky was full of tornadoes. Queen Than looked at the sparrow and thought to himself, It doesn't eat me, but lets me ride on its back. Am I dreaming? It carried Queen Than to fly to a magnificent palace in the deepest part of the 9 deaths and 1 life realm. It landed and told the owner the mission was complete. Standing next to him, he was shocked to see the sparrow talking. A person with a gourd of palace water on his waist came out and answered, Okay, then leave. Queen Than's eyes widened, wondering if there was someone there. Then she hurriedly bowed to the junior Queen Than, not knowing who you are. As she spoke, she thought to herself, This person is so powerful that even the nobles and nobles must listen to him. Suddenly, the token on the body of the city shined and flew up. Queen Than quickly reached out to grab it, but you snatched my toque. A hand grabbed the token and said, Why is it a robbery? It originally belonged to my ancestor. Queen Than heard that and was surprised and speechless. He is the first sect master of the immortal sect Tran Huyan Old Ancestor. She immediately knelt down and bowed her head to the 990th generation sect master of the Vong Tien sect, Queen Than, and asked the old ancestor to set up a tomb and go down the mountain to save the Vong Tien sect. Hearing this, the old ancestor thought to himself, I've been in seclusion for 100,000 years and someone still remembers me. He quickly said, Tell me what happened. A cup of steaming tea. Queen Than hurriedly said that the people of the divine sword sect had occupied the territory of the forgotten immortal sect. Hearing this, the old ancestor was angry. It has only been 100,000 years since the country I created has already declined to this point. How could I have just transmigrated and now have to endure this anger? Huinthan sat there not understanding what was happening. What the hell was this? The old ancestor sat thinking, and then told me that I am Tran Huyen, a person who crossed over to this world. At first, I brought the time travel system to this fantasy world. The system told me that as long as I build my own power, I will receive cultivation rewards. At that time, with the support of the system, we also built a powerful force in the Hongmong continent. Cultivation gradually increased by 3 minutes, and in an instant, I became an invincible existence in the Hongmong continent. I liked to walk alone in dark alleys, and my invincible appearance originally wanted to go to the next continent after standing at the peak of the Hongmeng continent to continue establishing sex. The disciples cried, "Without us, the old ancestor, how can we survive?" While sitting leisurely on the system board flying away, we heard the system board sound, announcing that you have completed testing the content of this version. Now we will take back the system. The system disappeared after the announcement, leaving me floating in the sky. Then I fell down in front of the disciples. So I can't leave here. Can't break through means that this world has someone stronger than me, so I'm afraid my position as invincible in the world is no longer stable. Queen Than held a cup of tea and did not understand anything. On this side, the old ancestor was depressed and thought to himself, "If I'm not strong enough, how can I be at peace?" Queen Than sighed. What's wrong with the old man? The old ancestor sat huddled and trembled in fear. He explained that he was afraid that someone strong from another continent would attack him, so he was hiding in this 9 deaths. But recently the system had announced that he was very strong, but this idiot didn't believe it. Every night, he lies afraid of delusions, dreaming that someone will stab him. In his hand was a burning flame. He thought that now that the Divine Sword Sect had taken over his territory, he might as well blow up the Divine Sword Sect. While I was thinking, the announcement board of the sect system upgrade was successful. The system reboots into the system of opening branches and scattering leaves. The mission is to test the 6th floor before moving to the next continent. After hearing the name of the old ancestor with a surprised face, he went to the next continent. Next, the first level of the trial is to help Junior Queen Than solve the problem that threatens the sect. The request is not to directly take action, but to let Junior solve it himself. After completing the task, Junior can break through 2V when the master receives the reward. Host, do you accept this task or not? The old man was so happy, he cried tears of joy. This damn thing finally rebooted and gave him a new mission. Face is forever blank looking at system homepage. This side of the city blushed, thinking about the random crowbar behind the old ancestor. Keep staring at me like that? Or does he have any intentions towards me? But with the old ancestor's age gap, will he accept me? The old man himself came and held Queen Than's hand and said, "I accept," making her bewildered. With a happy expression on his face, he thought that the system of opening knowledge and cultivating descendants would be a reward, but he couldn't directly take action. It seemed that he had to let Xiao Luo act himself. Queen Than jumped in surprise, thinking that America was the old man confessing to her and starting a forbidden teacher-student relationship. 2 faces pressed close together. The old ancestor said, "Little lass, I am very tough. But are you tough?" After saying that, the old ancestor turned away and continued, "I mean, this is the principle of forging your own iron. Do you understand that you have to solve your own sex affairs? Even if you kill me, I still won't show up." Queen Than is shy, but that's how tough he is. Queen Than lowered his head and said sadly, "But the old master of the Divine Sword Sect with the heavenly sword is not his match at all." The old ancestor's face was full of worry, and he said, "That's right. The other party has the heavenly sword, but you have nothing." So the old ancestor could only bow his head with joy, thinking in his heart that the old ancestor saw that I did not have enough strength, so he wanted to pass on some magic treasure or divine power to him. "Turn away," the old ancestor said. "I can only make you a new outfit when the time comes. You will definitely look better than that trash." Queen Than, standing behind, was immediately disillusioned. The old ancestor quickly grabbed Queen Than's hand and pulled her away, saying, "Okay, old ancestor, you go change your clothes." Queen Than panicked and thought to himself, "Oh no, I thought of it. Is the new thing that the old ancestor was talking about a Luam shirt? It turns out that the old ancestor wants me to die with some dignity." A snap of the fingers immediately opened a magnificent and sparkling scene. Queen Than was surprised and asked the old ancestor, "Where is this?" The old ancestor smiled and said, "This is my dressing room." Then the old ancestor raised his hand and shouted, "My descendants need clothes. Is anyone willing to go with her?" Suddenly 4 war gods of fire, water, wind, and earth appeared in the sky, shining brightly, making the whole city captivated. She gave 2 huge speakers and was surprised. "Is this a costume?" She gave 2 huge speakers and was surprised. "Is this a costume? Haha, if I had such armor, I would be the ruler of the world." Huin Than laughed until tears came out of his eyes, pointing at the old ancestor's fire god battle set. I want this. The old ancestor said nothing and kicked the war gods with a bang, surprising everyone. The old man's face is so cool, he speaks badly like that, but he also wants his junior to change to something else. Huin Than sweated looking at the battle like that and still complaining. While I was thinking, a purple light appeared behind me. In front of him was a sparkling purple battle god called the Innate Unique Body. Legend 100,000 years ago, the poison Tula named Tien Tuyet Dok, the went up the mountain to save his mother, defeated him alone and shocked the world. Huin Than's face was filled with joy. She thought that if she wore that armor, she would be so beautiful that she cried tears of joy. Huin Than pointed at the war god set and said, Old ancestor, I'll choose this one. The old man immediately punched the outfit to pieces, surprising Huin Than, and said that his daughter should not wear such rebellious clothes. Huin Than bowed his head and thought to himself, such a rare and extremely poisonous body, but the old ancestor smashed it to pieces. The old man went crazy and destroyed everything. This one doesn't work, that one doesn't work, whatever appears is hit. Huin Than hugged her head and cried regretfully. Hoo-hoo, the old ancestor is destroying my little heart. A set of clothes that looked like red superheroes appeared. The old man pointed and said, This is the whole set. Huin Than hugged the old man's leg and kept crying. Don't destroy any more clothes. I like them all. The old ancestor held the outfit in his hand and said, Okay, this outfit is quite nice and suits you very well. Huin Than looked happy and said, Yes, yes. Looking at the old ancestor's outfit, he said, Your cultivation is still not enough. I'm afraid that if you put on this armor, you will be burned to death by the fire. Huin Than heard that as if struck by lightning. What did 2V mean by burning him to death? Saying that she collapsed in her mind, thinking that she was the last hope of the sect. If she didn't wear this armor, how could she take revenge? So even if she died, she had to wear it. After a while of thinking, Huin Than hurriedly said, Old ancestor, I want to wear it. Hearing that the old ancestor snapped his fingers and the clothes disappeared. The old ancestor added, Try it on and see if it fits. Huin Than slid the flight suit onto her body, revealing her white belly and a pair of big round speakers shouting, Oh, my body is so hot. Hearing Huin Than's shout, the old ancestor immediately used the cold dragon antibody technique to suppress. Wearing the armor, Huin Than kept screaming in pain. Then a loud bang rang out and the whole person flew into the air. Whole person flies into the air. Whole person flies into the air. Whole person flies into the air. The old ancestor still did not forget to ask the system that this armor voluntarily followed the juniors, not counting me taking action, but the system reporting did not count. The old ancestor turned around and left, then Huin Than called the old ancestor the junior to turn around. The sect will come later. Thank you. The old ancestor heard that and raised his hand to signal him to wait. I still have something important for you to do. Huin Than turned back, revealing 2 big round mountains and a face full of confidence. He replied, What's the matter, old man? An evil face old man said, Do you know how to cook? I am so hungry. Huin Than immediately came to his father's side. A moment later, the table was filled with delicacies and a boiled chicken. Huin Than lowered his head, revealing a pair of giant speakers, then shyly said, Old ancestor, the food is done cooking. I'm going back to the sect. The old ancestor's face at this moment was extremely satisfied. Don't be in a hurry, come here and eat some meat. Huin Than heard that and blushed, embarrassed, turned away and replied, I won't eat it. Eat, the old man said, and immediately put the piece of meat in her mouth, causing a few drops of soup to fall onto the giant speakers. As soon as Huin Than ate it, he immediately imagined that he was naked with 2 white peaches. He swallowed and thought to himself, This is not pork, but unicorn meat. It's so delicious. Legend has it that 100,000 years ago, Dok Tu's mother Lam Ben La wanted to hunt a unicorn to save her mother, so she went to the unicorn cave. But when entering the Tula poison, he was forced by the unicorns to learn to read and talk to them for 3 years, before being released, showing that the unicorn is very strong, so its meat is delicious. Huin Than was still high when the old ancestor looked at her and thought to himself, This kid is really high. Holding a glass of water, the old man said, Don't be in a hurry. Take a sip. Not giving Huin Than a chance to react, the old man poured the glass of water straight into her mouth. As soon as she finished drinking, Huin Than's eyes opened wide. Huin Than's whole body was now filled with joy, thinking to himself that this was the divine jade spring. It was truly wonderful. On this side, the old ancestor held a glass of water in his hand and thought to himself, Yu Xuan Shen Wong is water that has been crystallized for 100,000 years. Huin Than immediately kowtowed and thanked the old ancestor Ngoch Tien for the precious water. Why did you give it to me to drink? The old ancestor waved his hand. Don't be polite. I still have a whole lake. After saying that, the old man walked back to the painting and said that the water in this lake made Huin Than feel shocked. Huin Than trembled and thought, Is this the old ancestor's hiding place? While we were engrossed in conversation, a bolt of lightning struck, startling us. Queen Than kept turning his head back to the old ancestor with thunder and lightning. He sat there calmly and replied that it was just a thunder and lightning breaking through the realm. While talking, the system rang again, announcing that the junior was Queen Than increasing the host's level and rewarding him with 10,000 years of power. The old man said, "I have it too." Then he immediately used his magic power, and a dragon appeared in the sky, flying into the lightning. Then another thunder struck down a bang. The system announced Ting Tran Huin Kan Gyoi broke through to the second rank. Hearing the announcement, Queen Than opened her mouth in surprise. "Old ancestor laugh, I have been stuck at the first rank for 100,000 years. Now I have finally broken through to the second rank." Queen Than happily congratulated the old ancestor, hearing that he replied, "It's nothing. It's just a small breakthrough to the second rank." Queen Than bowed his head, thinking like that was so petty. I wish I didn't have to tell the old ancestor I have to return to the sect immediately. The old man pointed to the red sun and said, "What's the rush? Look at the beautiful night scene. Why don't you go to the sauna with me?" Appeared to be a pair of extremely large breasts, and the sound of the sauna was like this. In a room full of steam, the old man sat and enjoyed himself while Queen Than secretly thought, "Why did the old man make me wear this kind of clothes? Is the old man a pervert?" Old ancestor knee Queen Than and said, "What's wrong? It's too hot, right? If you don't take a sauna, it's hot." Queen Than held a pair of giant speakers in both hands, thinking non-stop. He looked at the old man like a pervert, but his way of speaking was very caring. The old man looked at the giant speakers and said longingly, "Now I will tell a story about what a couple would do if they shared a room." Hearing that, Queen Than shouted loudly, "Stop telling nonsense." Suddenly, Queen Than glanced with sparkling eyes and thought to herself, "Why is the steam flying around me?" Looking down from above, the pair of mountains became even more majestic. Queen Than thought wrongly that this was crystallized spiritual energy, not steam. While she was lost in thought, she suddenly heard the voice of Konko BB. The old man continued to sing it perched on the tamarind branch and went without asking its mother where it was going. The old man was sitting leisurely enjoying himself and wondering why he sang so well. Flying books appeared one after another. The level of cultivation methods was divided into 5 types. Huang Huyen, Dia Thiende. A couple is hugging each other with flowers flying all over the sky. It turns out that Queen Than is having an illusion. It seems like the old ancestor is madly in love with me. But no, what am I thinking? A blink of an eye, the old man said, "What are you doing, Queen Than?" Then the old man asked the system, "Hey, what is this kid fantasizing about?" The next morning, both of them stood outside the balcony. The old ancestor said, "Little Luo, I have nothing left to entertain you. If you want to return to the sect, then go." Hearing that, Queen Than clasped his hands in gratitude to the old ancestor for his special grace. Yesterday, sitting in the sauna room, his disciple's cultivation had also broken through to the spirit-nurturing realm. The old man was holding a cow's head in his hand and said, "I'll give it to you. If you're hungry, grill it and eat it." His eyes were shining as he replied, "It's so cute. I'm thinking, why does it look so familiar?" Standing on the sword that shook the city, I flew away and said goodbye to the old man, watching him cry and remember to come visit me. Raise your hand, look up at the old man and say, "Now Little Lan has a lot of local specialties to bring back." Wearing shorts to show off his six-pack body, the old ancestor said that this time Tio Lak can definitely solve the sword sect or something. After saying that, the old man ran around happily. Finally, he could wear his shorts and go out. Then the system board announced, "You are strange." A scene appears with floating islands. A large sword is stabbed right at a palace of the sword god sect. G sitting on the throne. There was a man saying, "Have you got the item for me yet?" Below, 2 subordinates holding purple glowing balls said, "Boss, we got it, but some guys are chasing here." The ball in his hand suddenly flew up and reached the hand of the Sword of Ignorance, who was also the sect master of the Divine Sword Sect. The ball in his hand suddenly emitted purple lightning. The eyes of Ignorance suddenly change. There was a voice commanding to retreat. The person holding the ball stood still. He shouted, "Who are you to make my body like this?" The 2 subordinates looked up without any reaction. Natural Ignorance slapped me in the face. His eyes and the whole ignorant person were red inside. He had a voice saying, "Why don't you know any manners? Then I must deal with you." The hand holding the ball of ignorance is splitting into 2. He said, "What do you want to do? I beg you, please spare my life." On hand, the ball continuously emits rays of light. A devil face and fangs appeared. He looked at the orb and said, "Power is increasing. I need more." Then he flew up and ordered to lead the army to Vong Tien Tong tomorrow to kill all 2 subordinates. He immediately replied, "Yes, sir." The next day at the Immortal Sect, the continuous attacks on the cracked Protectorate formation persisted. Inside, people were lying everywhere, blood and screams. The Divine Sword Sect had led people in to kill them. The great formation of Ho Tong has been broken. Deep Tran has appeared and laughed. "Ha ha, fellow disciples, why haven't you run yet?" Deep Tran entered the sky, and the junior brothers of the Divine Sword Sect said, "Your master has run away. Why don't you join the great Divine Sword Sect?" Below, all the disciples of the immortal sect looked up and said that Ye Chen, the great master, had brought his disciples to surrender on his own initiative enemy. You are truly the disgrace of the sect. Deep Tran entered the group of disciples who were ascending on swords and rushed in like a mob, killing them. The sixth elder flew out to stop him and said, "Do you really think that our Vong Tian sect has no one?" The sixth elder appeared very weak, his mouth full of blood as he stepped forward. The surrounding disciples kept shouting, "Sixth elder." After saying that, the sixth elder immediately used his internal energy to create a magical power and surrounded himself with fire, saying, "You impudent traitor!" Deep Tran was so scared that he peed his pants. The sixth elder flew over as fast as lightning, his hand on the monk's dharma pole turned towards Diep Tran. He panicked and thought this guy was crazy. Why did he burn his longevity? But unexpectedly, another guy flew in to block the attack with only 2 swords. His name is Sai, the eldest disciple of the Divine Sword Sect. His face is cunning. He laughs and says, "Haha, your palm techniques are not bad." The disciples, with mouths full of blood, gaped and looked up at Turua Lakiemsi. They said he was very strong. The sixth elder was using his internal energy and looked very weak. He thought, "Is it really difficult for our Vong Tian sect to escape this calamity today?" While he was thinking, the swordsman Si swung his sword towards the elder. Before he could hear, the elder was hit and thought to himself that his sword was too strong. Then he flew over the elder who had just arrived. The elder was already lying motionless. Below, the crowd of disciples were crying. The sixth elder, the sword-mad man, had a smug expression on his face. His disciples kept cheering for their senior brother, Uivu. The swordsman Si just put his sword away and said that his longevity has burned out. His junior brother went to collect the body for his master. The one behind clasped his hands and bowed his head. After saying that, the one named Diep Tran flew to the group of disciples who stood up to stop him. "Don't even think about touching Elder Luke." Hearing that, he looked angry and cursed. "Trash, go away." He drew his sword and slashed down on a group of disciples, sending them flying. Deep Tran flew with his sword pointed straight at the sixth elder and said to his master, "You should die." The sixth elder held his sword and tried to stand up, thinking to himself that the sect master had reached the realm of 9 deaths and 1 life, not knowing what would happen. Deep Tran's sword seemed to be about to stab the sixth elder's head. Deep Tran seemed to be about to stab the head of the sixth elder. Suddenly, a beam of light flew towards Deep Tran and hit him, sending him flying and shattering a large pillar. Everyone was confused and didn't understand what was happening and looked in the same direction. Deep Tran, the guy who beat them up, is now dead. Elder Six saw that and was shocked. What was going on? Deep Tran died. A pair of long white legs appeared in the voices. 100,000 years ago, Then Kim Tong was only worthy of carrying the shoes of the vanished immortal sect. But now dare to bully the owner. Then why did Lak Kuin Than and the cunning cow appear? But now dare to bully the owner. Then why did Lak Kuin Than and the cunning cow appear? Kuin Than turned back with sparkling eyes and replied, "Yes, I found the ancestor." Kuin Than added that although we found the old ancestor, he did not want to leave the mountain. Hearing this, everyone lost all hope and vomited blood. Seeing that, the sword slayer immediately asked, "Are you the new sect master of the Vong Tian sect, who just returned from 9 deaths, 1 life? Suddenly he revealed a malicious face and said, "I was there and almost died. Thanks to that, I also learned the sword technique there that no one could block." Hearing that, Kuin Than and everyone looked at him. Sai held the sword in his hand and strained his internal energy. A fierce unicorn-shaped spirit statue appeared behind him. He said, "Let's see if you can block it." Hearing him say that, Kuin Than immediately became angry. The elder kept calling the sect master. "Quickly go find Si. He was very strong." Looking at the elder and everyone, Kuin Than smiled, and a flame suddenly appeared in his hand. He said, "It's okay. Even though the old ancestor isn't coming, let me take care of the rest." A face of evil sword. Si laughed and said, "Ha, just a small flame wants to fight me." After saying that, he released the purple intent dragon sword, and the unicorn spirit also roared loudly. On his hand, the fire burned more fiercely, and he used the Samadhi True Fire move. Just as he made his move, a fiery phoenix flew over and burned the unicorn statue and the swordsman. Burned by fire, he kept screaming, "Oh, it's so hot." The swordsman's entire body was burned to a crisp without a single piece of clothing left. Then he fell to the ground and lay scattered in front of Kuin Than. Cold-proof hands and a pair of huge speakers arrogantly speaking, "You seem to be too normal." Swordsea's whole body was on fire. He had to stick out his tongue. Everyone who saw it had their eyes and mouths wide open. Swordsea is dead. Then the elder and his disciples looked at Kuin Than with admiration and said, "Very good sect master." Kuin Than immediately looked up and said, "You traitors, you senior brothers are dead. Hurry up and surrender." Suddenly a fat guy appeared under his feet. He had to rely on 2 swords to fly up. Who was he? "He is the sword treasure of the divine sect who just appeared." He shouted with an angry face, "Who killed my disciple?" On this side, the elder's face was filled with panic as he said that the sect master was the one who killed his master. Hearing that, Queen Than seemed very angry and said, "So you killed my master?" On this side, the swordsman immediately shouted loudly, "So what if I killed your master?" Hearing the challenging words, Queen Than became even more hateful and immediately exploded with the move Tam Moichan Hualanthua. The small flame flew to the evil swordsman's face and then flared up. The fire started to burn and burned him in the air. The evil swordsman was being burned by the fire. He immediately thought, impossible. This seems to be the realm of the fire god. Huin Than kept commanding the fire and told the trash to go down to the underworld and apologize to my master. But suddenly the evil swordsman seemed to be fine and said, "Oh, really?" Then he used his sword to destroy the fire. Huin Than looked at him in surprise. Suddenly a purple beam of light flew out and hit Queen Than. After they hit Queen Than, he fell to the ground. The whole body of the evil swordsman emitted purple rays of light. He held his spear and pointed it down, saying, "You underestimate me." He landed on the ground, holding a spear in his hand, and said, "Your master was stabbed to death by this spear." Hearing that, Queen Than got even angrier and jumped up, breathing fire at him. But no matter how much fire was sprayed, he blew it away. Seeing the situation was not good, Queen Than immediately thought, "I can't hold on any longer, old ancestor, I apologize to you." A cow's leg continuously scratches the ground. The cow that the old ancestor had given him earlier flew out and used its horn to block the spear that was about to stab, much to the astonishment of Queen Than. The spear tip was broken, and the bull stood with an arrogant look and said, "Go away from me." The swordsman looked at the spear, speechless. Then he started screaming in panic. What the hell? Everyone turned to look at the cow in amazement. It was so amazing that it couldn't close its mouth. The name of the evil sword. Now looking at the cow retreating, saying, "Which oxide did you destroy my Vajra incense spear treasure?" The cow gritted its teeth and broke its leg, then looked at him and said, "I originally didn't want to do it, but if the old ancestor finds out, I'll be in a difficult position." Queen Than looked at the cow in amazement and thought to himself, "Little Black can talk and is so strong." The evil swordsman's mouth gaped open in surprise when he saw something huge. So the cow from earlier has now turned into a cool-looking black thunderbolt. Queen Than looked up at the cow with a face full of surprise, thinking that he had said that the Little Black looked familiar, so it turned out to be the Black Thunder that had chased him for 3 days in 9 deaths, 1 life. The elder looked at the cow in surprise and thought, "Is the Black Thunderbull here to help us?" The evil swordsman immediately knelt down. He cried and begged for his life. Then he pointed at his disciples and said, "Please don't eat me, eat my disciples." Hak Loi immediately bent down to look at him, smelled him, and said, "Oh, I like to eat this dish." Very good. The evil swordsman said so, but behind his back he continuously transferred spiritual energy into a sword. He smiled wickedly and charged at the man who loved to eat meat. Then the evil swordsman threw the sword with spiritual energy and said, "I will kill you." Huin Than and the elder saw and immediately sucked Huang La up. "Senior, be careful." Evil sword now, he was smiling slyly, thinking, "This time you will die for sure." The sword flew straight towards the direction of the Black Thunder. But Hak Loi showed no fear and still looked on. Hak Loi immediately took a deep breath, causing his nose to continuously run as he looked at the sword. Then the Black Thunder sneezed and lightning continuously struck, blowing away the sword containing spiritual energy and hitting the swordsman, turning him into a skeleton. He kept screaming, "Ah!" Now his whole body was smoking and burned black. He fell down and died, sitting on a black thunder garlic, saying, "Oh, my skin itches my nose," before the astonishment of the Queen Than and the elder. Eyes wide open as if about to pop out, mouth cannot close. "Queen Than!" An elder shouted loudly. What happened? All the disciples were constantly panicking, thinking that just one sneeze from Black Thunder would kill them all. Hak Loi sat scratching his nose and said, "Your disciples are all burned. I don't want to eat them just by smelling them. Or should I just tell you?" Hak Loi turned to look and saw the evil swordsman and his disciples lying around, so he shouted, "Why are you all so burned black? Who the hell did this to my dinner? Who? The elder and Queen Than were surprised and said, "What did you do to burn that guy and act like you're innocent?" In Hongmong, the old ancestor kept observing Queen Than with the magic mirror and said that Little Black was still very weak. Lying on the back of the old sparrow reading a book, but Little Black has an invincible defense. Still talking, but don't forget to read the novel, the old ancestor added that in the Vongtian sect, no one is Tiu Hak's opponent. Suddenly, Queen Than kneeled down and cried, thinking, "Why is the old master so good to me?" Giving a pet that knows how to fight made all the disciples and elders scared and shouted, "What's wrong with the sect master?" In the sky, all the disciples of the Divine Sword sect were panicking and kept shouting, "Help, run quickly. Senior brother Sword Evil is dead." Now both the Vongtian Sword and Queen Than Black Thunder have returned to their original form, looking up and continuously shouting, "Vongtian sect, we won." Now that the 6th elder coughed and said that the sect master had saved the sect, this old man can leave with peace of mind. After saying that, he collapsed. Queen Than quickly came to help him up and asked the 6th elder what was wrong. The cow standing next to him immediately said that this guy had burned all of his longevity and was probably about to die. Suddenly Queen Than was startled and looked at the cow and said, "Isn't that the person who brought the holy water Nok Tuyen? Let him drink it." The elder heard this and was speechless. What is the divine water of Nok Tuyen? But no need thank you sect master for thinking of the elder, but still should leave it to the children of the immortal sect. Queen Than immediately took out a magic water tap and said, "Here, there's so much of it." The elder was so surprised that his eyes almost fell out. "What are you yelling about?" He looked at the magic water faucet in panic and screamed, "Oh my God, why is there so much magic water?" The drops of water fell to the ground. The elder felt sorry and bowed down. He said, "The sect master is wasting too much. Please allow me to lick all the water on this ground." Hearing that, Queen Than immediately explained that there was still a lake at the old ancestor's place, making the elder open his mouth in greed. He was shocked when he heard Queen Than's mouth continuously drooling. "Is there a whole lake of jade springs? Is the sect master lying to me?" A hand calls out fire. With a flash, Queen Than wore the great sun divine body that the old ancestor had given him to the surprise and astonishment of the elder. Suddenly lightning struck the rocks, making the elder pee his pants. Then he picked up the water jug and drank it continuously, praising it as delicious. Then Queen Than took the jars of divine night water and distributed them to the disciples of the Vong Tien sect. Suddenly, someone asked sect leader, "What if the people of the Than Kiem sect come to cause trouble?" Queen Than replied coldly, "Kill whoever comes." Hearing Queen Than say that, everyone kept cheering and applauding the sect leader. A week later, outside the palace of the Divine Sword sect, loud explosions continued to be heard. All the disciples of the Divine Sword sect panicked and ran away when they saw someone. It turned out that Black Bull with a fierce face and Queen Than were attacking. The people of the Divine Sword sect kept running away and shouting, it's the Black Bull and the sect master of the forgotten immortal sect." Sword Vo Min, full of murderous intent, stepped out of the palace and asked why you guys were so panicked. Seeing Vo Min step out, the disciple immediately said that the sect master had gone down the mountain and hoped that the sect master would save the sect. After saying that, the two of them immediately started to talk to each other. Is the sect master still possessed? All the disciples immediately gathered around Ignorance and continuously advised our sect master to quickly escape. The people of the forgotten immortal sect are coming. After saying that, the disciples rode their swords and flew away. The ignorant sword stood there and laughed. "Ha ha! Why do I need to run?" The sword of the void flew up, holding the soul-devouring jade in his hand, looking down and saying, "I will punish you." After saying that, he used his magic power to enlarge the soul-devouring jade, surrounding it with purple lightning bolts. The ball flies up to the middle and opens a screen. Out in the woods, someone looked in and said, "Look there. It's the soul-devouring jade." A couple shows up and says, "Shit, someone is using it to absorb power. We're late." Both said, "Let's go quickly," then covered themselves with a tornado and flew away. Below the mountain, the disciples of the Divine Sword sect were blocked by a barrier. It seemed like something was stopping them. The guys who were madly smashing the barrier had their souls sucked out of them and looked in pain. All the disciples of the Divine Sword sect lay scattered, their souls flying all over the sky. Souls from everywhere flew back to the Jade Soul, making it even larger, and lightning continuously emitted. Vo Min has absorbed all the spiritual energy in Ngok, Fei Hon into his body, laughing loudly. "Haha, so comfortable, so powerful, I need more power." Hak Loi and Queen Than looked surprised and said, "Senior, what's going on?" They were both bewildered. They looked at the ignorant man. Black Thunder replied unclearly. It seemed like someone was sucking their souls. Queen Than turned back to look at Hak Loi, as if not understanding what was happening. "There are two guys, a boy and a girl, flying over here. It turns out that the Black Thunder has something to play with." Black Thunder continued speaking. "This black gas seems to be a demon race, making the people beside him look at Black Thunder. What demon race?" Black Thunder immediately explained that the demon race was born with a strong liking for eating humans and beasts to increase its cultivation. Black Thunder, Sweat added, wasn't the demon race destroyed by humans for tens of thousands of years. Glanced at Queen Than and said, "Let me hold one and leave the other for you, Senior." Said then both flew towards the direction of the other two Black Thunder. Said, "Can only do as you wish." Dream Tan saw Black Lightning flying towards him and said, "Oh God, you want to attack me." Looking at Hak Loi and Queen Than flying towards Mong Toan, he added, "I choose this girl, so I choose this cow." Said then, "Dream T flew to Lalan, little sister. I want your body." Hearing that, Queen Than immediately channeled energy into his hand, causing fire to rise up in the sky, saying, "If it's delicious, then come and get it." After saying that, Queen Than Swat Chio used Thien Liet Diem track and created a line of fire that flew straight towards Mong Ta. On this side, Black Thunder was punched in the face by the sword dragon, received a black lightning punch and fell down like a landslide. The evil swordsman above kept laughing and saying, "Ha ha, the cow is so weak." As soon as he finished speaking, an octopus tentacle wrapped around his body. Black Thunder, lying below, nosebleed smiling, said, You dare say I'm weak? One hand wrapped around the body of the Black Thundersword dragon, pointing up to the sky. The sky was opening up with thunder. Black Thunder added, "Don't you notice what's above your head?" Then lightning continuously struck the sword dragon's body. Below, the flames also constantly burned the evil dream. Seeing the sword dragon unconscious, Black Thunder released him. On this side, my dream was also burned by the fire, revealing a pair of round white lips. Queen Than and Hak Loi smiled and said it was a success. Just as he finished speaking, a devilish face appeared behind Queen Than. Said, "Then dream I struck a fatal blow to Queen Than's salary." Suddenly a boom appeared, dragon wings. It turns out that the evil dream has transformed into a demon. He said, "Now I will show you my abilities." Queen Than! Kneeling on the ground, looking up at what I used all my strength, but he was not injured at all. While talking, Queen Than saw black lightning fall down, and bricks and rocks flew everywhere. Above, his sword dragon also turned into a demon force. He broke off the Black Thunder's arm. Lying under the Black Thunder in extreme pain, saying, "Damn, they are all demons, I can't hurt them." Looking at the Black Thunder, Queen Than, even the senior's ear with such high defense, was seriously injured. In the sky, Mima, look at the demon force. Tell him to quickly solve it or the boss will be angry, said. Then the two guys flew down. Queen Than immediately stood up to shield Hak Loi and said, "If you want to harm Senior, then pass my test." Black Thunder looked at Queen Than with hatred, quickly move away. Queen Than closed his eyes and thought, "Oh no, I have to die here today." Suddenly there were consecutive blows. Two ghosts, and magic suddenly hit. After they hit, both fell to the ground to the shock of Black Thunder. Lying on the ground, Mi kept moaning, "Oh, it hurts so much." Queen Than was surprised and asked what just happened. The magician lying on the ground looked up, seemingly quite surprised to see someone. There were two people in the forest. One of them was named Tu Long Thu, and the other was named Tu Tu Ngok. Queen Than looked at those two people, shouting, "Did this senior just save us?" Queen Than held the water jug and walked over to thank the two seniors for their help, and invited them to drink some water. Little Ngok Lian turned away and said, "There is no need to take out this vulgar thing, thank you." Both of them glanced at Queen Than and said, "We didn't come here to save you, we just wanted to get our things back." Hearing that, Queen Than's face turned red. "You two are really good people." Somewhere out in the woods, a voice said, "Oh, I told you guys to do some work, but you got nothing done," to the surprise of three people. In the sky, there are purple rays of light and voices. Luckily, I have completely refined the soul-devouring jade. The voice is always out, you guys become part of my strength. Then the purple streams of air flew to attract the ghost and the magic power. In the sky, streams of air flew everywhere in front of the three people. In the sky, the soul-devouring jade is sucking souls, and voices are constantly being emitted. For 100,000 years, I have waited for this day for a long time. The soul-devouring jade is sucking in purple air currents to form a tornado. Suddenly, there were loud noises, and it was the name of the ignorance that had transformed into the Demon King. He said that the Demon Clan had truly returned to the human world, his face full of murderous intent. Queen Thin and Hak Loi looked up in panic at the demons. It turned out that he had just sucked their souls. Tion Gok and Long Tu looked at Ma Vuong with fierce eyes and said, "So what about the demon race?" Then both of them pressed the air into their bodies, emitting streams of light that flew away. Both of them went behind the Demon King's back. Tion Gok's face was full of murderous intent. He poured all his soul into the sword and said he dared to steal our exorcist's treasured hoe. The Black Thunder heard it below and said, "Master, I remember now." The Black Thunder told above that they were still fighting. They were exorcists who could use the power of demons. 100,000 years ago, their ancestors used a lot of strength to fight against the demons. Suddenly, with a loud bang, the Demon King sent Tuten Gotch and Long Thu flying, causing them to vomit blood. Black Thunder and Little Queen Than did not understand what was happening. Both of them were shocked when they saw Tuten Gotch and Long Thu fall down and said, "What are you two seniors saying?" Tuten Gotch and Long Thu looked surprised and asked, "What kind of shield is that? Why can't we break the demon's attack? When I stole the soul-devouring jade, I knew that sooner or later you exorcists would come here to hunt me down." The Demon King looked at the soul-devouring peak and continued. The jade created a shield that could not only imprison, but also defend. Tuten Gotch heard that. It seemed to be panicked. He is no longer something we can deal with. Long Thu, let's go. "Ha ha," the Devil King laughed and said it's not easy to go anywhere. He said then pushed the soul-devouring gem up. Hand put all the spirit into the pearl. At this moment, it received too much spiritual energy and kept growing, covering all the people below. Long Thu and Tuten Gotch did not have time to leave and received a blow that made both of them cough up blood. The purple light was sucking the vital energy, causing everyone below to scream miserably. Hak Loi and Queen Than could not escape the pain on both their faces. "Oh no, where are you, old man? I didn't expect that I would lead my disciples to counterattack and cause everyone to die here. Right now, at the 9 deaths in 1 life, the animals are constantly bowing to Mr. Bach Ngok." He walked with a cane in his hand and said, "I, the Jade-Face Venerable, have been wandering for 1,000 years. My reputation is unknown. I didn't expect that in the 9 deaths and 1 life, I would have such a resounding reputation. Appeared was Mr. Bakengok with a long beard. He was walking and singing the champion. Lonely like that. A hole appeared in the sky and lightning struck. He heard and did not understand what was happening. Above the Hong hole, unusual lightning strikes appeared. A giant, colorful hand appeared. The person sitting below was the old ancestor. Seeing that Mr. Bakengok was startled. What was that? Then suddenly he knelt down, his heart pounding. He looked up with a surprised look on his face and thought to himself, "Oh my God, what the hell is that?" He and the animals did not understand what was happening, why we could not control ourselves, and had to kneel down. Suddenly the system opened. Old Ancestor. Sitting in the palm of his hand, he immediately asked the system, "I want to greet the descendants of the sect. I probably won't be taking action right. Notification system not included." Hearing that, the old ancestor immediately opened his golden eyes and saw purple rays of light. The old ancestor saw the black thunder and his disciples lying around. At that time, Tiungok and Longthu were showing pain and saying I didn't expect that I, a demon exorcist, would die in the hands of the demon clan. Huinthan lay on the ground 2 mountains were about to flatten, thinking that his old ancestor had wronged him. Huinthan's eyes were hazy as he called out to his ancestor. Suddenly a hole appeared in the sky and lightning struck. There was a voice calling out to my juniors. Hearing Huinthan's voice, he immediately woke up. Tiungok and Longthu seemed not to understand what was going on. The Demon King heard a voice he didn't know who was speaking. He turned around and looked. Suddenly a giant hand appeared in the sky. It turns out the old ancestor is in the palm of his hand and says, "Long time no see, everyone. Are you all doing well?" Hakloy and Huinthan were stunned. This is the old man. The old ancestor glanced at the Demon King and thought to himself that he was a powerful Taoist, so he could release the power of the law of heaven and earth. The Demon King looked scared and gritted his teeth, thinking to himself, how can this place be contained? I was already the strongest in this place, but now someone who seemed even stronger than me appeared. Moreover, he also calls himself the ancestor of the Vongtian sect. I just came to say hello, absolutely not to save you. Hearing that, the Demon King breathed a sigh of relief. It was right that he didn't come to save them, because life and death were part of the law of heaven and earth. This great being had long seen through life and death, so he didn't interfere. Oh right, the old ancestor's way of greeting is to clap his hands, so the old ancestor will also clap his hands with you. Saying that, the old man immediately put down his giant hand at a speed of 100 km per hour and kept shouting loudly, "Remember to clap with me," making the Demon King dumbfounded. He looked at the hand and thought to himself, why is that hand pointing at me? Then he gritted his teeth in anger. Why did I wait 1,000 years to obtain the body of the sect master of the divine sword sect? It took me 100,000 years to refine the soul-devouring pearl. Will I lose everything now? He is so big. God determined to want my demon clan to die. Why can't I die here? I want to fight. Then he sucked the souls and opened all the bloodlines of the demon race. Then he blew out streams of faith to open all the shields of the soul-devouring pearl. In his mind, he was thinking that great powers are also human and must have weaknesses. He immediately opened his innate sword battle body and a sword appeared in his hand. Then the shape also changes when opening all the strongest primordial demon abilities. The old man looked at him and smiled. "You look cool, little brother," saying that the old ancestor used his giant hand to move down on him faster. The arrogant Demon King looked up and laughed. "Ha ha, hit me. I'm at my strongest. I'm the pinnacle existence of this continent. Even if the Heavenly King came, he wouldn't be able to kill me. I'm invincible." While he was speaking, there was a loud bang. He received a direct palm strike that was so strong that his whole body was deformed. After they faced the magic school, the Demon King was blown away. Loud explosions kept ringing out. He was blown away thousands of kilometers. The mysterious Emperor of Heaven remains in seclusion for 10,000 years in heaven and earth. It seems like people have forgotten some things. For example, when learning about the 100,000-year-old history of the Hongmong continent, you will see that every crooked page in this history has the words, "The strongest Emperor of Heaven," written all over it. But if you don't believe Tran Huyen's history, you can look closely at what he did at that time. Will be discovered from these historical writings. In fact, in the invincible history of the mysterious emperor, only 2 similar words were written. Called cover, feel. Everything is fine. Old ancestor around the person, walk laughing. Ha ha, I have finished greeting. Next, you must study well. The old man said, then he rode on the cloud and flew away. Below, Tiungok and Longthu were extremely shocked. Who was this great power that was so formidable? The voice that spoke just now was the ancestor of our mortal sect 100 years ago. Then everyone was very proud and happy, making the 2 idiots dumbfounded. Longthu and Tiungok looked at each other and whispered, that great power is the ancestor of the Vongtian sect. We must befriend them. Then we both glanced at each other, or we go over and give gifts to be friends. Then Tiungok called Huinthan Sr. Then both of them hugged a wooden bed and said, I have a national treasure called the Van Tin map. Please accept it to repay the old man's life-saving grace. Huinthan heard that and waved his hand, saying that the star map is a treasure map recording the land where the meteorite fell. I cannot accept such a great gift. Hearing this, the two of them looked at each other. Their faces darkened, and they thought that she must have looked down on us and said it. Both of them immediately knelt down and kowtowed, making the city very embarrassed. So they said, "Okay, I accept, you guys, stand up." Seeing Queen Than had received the gift, the two waved goodbye and left. As soon as the two left, Queen Than breathed a sigh of relief. The old ancestor told me to do it myself, but in the end, I couldn't help but take action. Finally, the Divine Sword sect was wiped out and disappeared forever. Standing in front of everyone, Queen Than was still having the illusion that the old ancestor loved him to death. After the illusion, she shouted loudly, "We have won. From now on, we will revive the Vong Tian sect." Suddenly, a hole appeared in the sky with lightning. Then a loud bang was heard, along with a purple light shining on the ground. The system panel displays a message: after successfully helping the junior Lak Queen Tan resolve the sect's danger. The first level of the trial has been completed. The host is rewarded with 10,000 years of old ancestors' power. Now he has become a third-grade Dao Emperor. Open the system panel and ask the old ancestor. If the first level of the trial has been completed, what is the next task? The system board shows the next mission related to the intruder who is in the realm of 9 deaths and 1 life. The host finds clues to open the next trial. I really look forward to what the juniors will be like this time. At the same time, deep in the eastern region of the Hongmeng continent, it looked like pieces of shit were falling onto a beam. There was a sound of Leduchi 3 fruits. A young face is screaming, "Is this wrong now? This big cafeteria only has 3 pieces of ledung. His name is Tran Dao Nian, the head of the Tran family. He is at level 2 of concentration and can see 3 pieces of shit. He said that 10 years ago, even our dogs wouldn't want this thing." A whole crowd looked at him mockingly. Now Tran Dao Nian told the lottery team of Bak Lok Academy like, "You still dare to criticize food." Dao Nian stood with his arms crossed and said, "Fuck, who are you looking down on?" Saying that Dao Nian endured and took the 3 pieces of pear and left, ignoring the 3 guys who were laughing at Dao Nian as he left. Those 3 guys still kept on mocking him. "Oh my God, he dares to take this shameful thing?" Suddenly there was a footstep coming and saying, "No, brother, you can't eat this." Dao Nian heard that and was surprised. "Who is this? You said you would give it to us, but now you won't give it to us anymore." Hand holding a giant chicken leg brought. It turns out that Tran Dao Nian's younger sister appeared. Tainu looked at her brother and smiled, then said, "Brother, eat this chicken leg. Aren't you hungry if you're late?" The guys behind saw this and kept teasing me. "Ha, working shifts and now having to rely on you to make a living. How shameless." Another name appeared. Holding the carpet, said the leader has more spirit food for the leader to eat. He walked over to Dao Nian and asked, "Is there any law?" His name is Deep Vu Mak, ranked 2nd in strength at Bak Lok Academy. The other 3 heard what Diep Vu Mak said and couldn't stop laughing. Hearing the mockery and contempt, Dao Nian immediately left and said, "You eat by yourself, I'm not hungry." Dao Nian was walking when Vu Mak suddenly held out his fan to block his way, then said that the trash is indeed a member of the Tran family's family. Then he pulled a cart full of delicious food to show off to you. "Look at how good the resources my Deep family has." Hearing the mocking words, Tai Ni angrily drew her sword and said to Deep Vu, "Mak, shut up, brother. I just did it because of you." Seeing his sister angry, he naturally stopped her. "She must not do anything wrong. We are a rich family and must use the ways of a gentleman. You just open your mouth and say that your Tran family is still the same as 100,000 years ago." Dao Nian heard him insult the family, so he was very angry. "If you insult my family again, don't blame me for making you suffer." Vu Mak laughed loudly and challenged Dao Nian. "So what do you want to invite me to eat?" Dao Nian immediately ran very quickly, then stuffed the 3 pieces of ledung he was holding into Vu's mouth, his eyes wide open, mouth full of shit. What the hell is he thinking? The other 2 with surprised faces. Everyone who witnessed it covered their noses because it was so stinky. Although Lei's feces had some spiritual energy, they tasted exactly like feces. Dao Nian smiled contentedly and said, "I'll invite you to eat shit." While Vu Mak was trying to throw up all the shit, Dao Nian quickly pushed his resource cart and ran away. After stealing Vu Mak's spiritual food, Dao Nian ran out and sat under the 2 statues. "Gather all the things and put them in Dao Nian's bag." He laughed and said, "Haha, this much spiritual food is for my little sister." After a while, Dao Nian thought to himself, he didn't expect that he, a member of the Tran family, would now go downhill to the point of deceiving others. "I remember this senior once roamed the world and then returned here to found this Bak Lok Academy. But not 10 years ago, after he entered the academy, the new dean was already monopolizing it. If any family wanted cultivation resources, the next generation had to sign a contract to completely become a member of the academy. If the successor of a family becomes a member of the academy, wouldn't that family only exist in name?" Said and then suddenly peed on the statue and thought to himself, "This is the reason why I refuse to surrender. But my talent is not bad. I possess the name Tien Loi Quang that everyone desires." But the congenital narrow meridians sucking in spiritual energy is useless, making me a useless person in the mouths of the world. If only Senior could come and help our Tran family again like 10 years ago, how great would that be? Dao Nian said, then took out his ID card and looked at it. If the old ancestor was still alive, he would have shaken the world like his predecessor. On the ID card is full name Tran Huyen, gender male, ethnicity national. Right at the former death of Natsin, now the old ancestor is very angry. Tell me who you are, the old ancestor sitting on the throne. Why do you dare to barge into the 9 deaths, 1 life? Now how should I deal with you? Hearing that Mr. Bakengok immediately tensed up and revealed all the true energy in his body, saying, I am Mr. Bakengok Ui, who shakes the world by doing upright and fair things. The old man was surprised to see that. Suddenly, Mr. Bakengok Lien flipped the rice paper and knelt down to beg for forgiveness. Great power, you misunderstood. Actually, I just want to find a place to build a tomb after I die. Haha, so that's it, then I have to ask you. Mr. Bakengok kept banging his head, he kept asking. Sitting in thought, the old ancestor asked if he had seen any young descendants recently, such as the declining power of a sect or a certain Tran family. Mr. Bakengok heard that, and was surprised. He immediately said the Tran family. Then he suddenly remembered and said, that's right. 10 years ago, I saw in the battle family a few good seeds, including a child with super talent. Hearing that, the old ancestor immediately opened the system and asked, this must be the junior I have to help, right? But there is still an idiot named Tran Dao Nian who has a natural light body. But his meridians were congenitally narrow. No matter how hard I tried to point him out, he was still just a useless person. Hearing that, the system immediately announced this guy really made the old ancestor frown. Mr. Bakengok continued, I have been wandering the world for 1,000 years and discovered that the female Tran seems not bad, but the male Tran is not so good. The old ancestor heard this and immediately became furious. The sky continuously thundered and lightning struck down. Then a loud bang, the giant arm appeared again. The old ancestor was very angry. What people said was true. Mr. Bakengok saw the old ancestor like that. His soul flew up to the clouds. Seeing the giant punch, Mr. Bakengok kept begging, oh, great power, please spare my life, everything I said is true. Suddenly the giant hand opened up a giant piece of dung. The old ancestor looked at Mr. Bakengok, who was trembling in fear, and said, Old man, what are you doing? You have shown my descendants, so I just want to invite you to eat a pear. There is no need to be so grateful. Mr. Bakengok took the dung pear and ate it, then thought, who would invite others to eat dung pear? Isn't it to humiliate me? But when he ate, his eyes suddenly lit up. Feeling very happy, he said, this golden light plus this feeling. This is not pear dung, but the elixir I have painstakingly searched for 1,000 years. He looked at the pear and thought to himself, this is a golden sand pear. It is said that 1 golden sand pear can replenish 1,000 years of life. Great being, I just casually pointed this out to your descendants. You don't need to pay such a price. I really don't dare eat it anymore. It's okay, I have a lot of this stupid fruit. If I don't eat it, it will all rot. Hearing this, the white jade man was startled. He called this fruit a piece of trash. But why are there so many of them? After saying that, he ran to hug the mighty ancestor. I am willing to be your subordinate. I am willing to serve you for the rest of my life. Old ancestor sighed. Oh, if it weren't for the system's rules that I can't directly take action, I wouldn't even dream of accepting you as my subordinate. At a dilapidated house, my sister is back. Lin, really, I left the best for you. Today, while the guy who teased the dean was sleeping, I stole his wig. After saying that, Dao Nian was bewildered when in front of him was the dean. His name is Bak Dong Hian. When he woke up and looked in the mirror, he was very upset when he lost his wig. Then the person from Tran Ra immediately went near Dao Nian, grabbed the wig, and put it on the head of the dean. Dao Nian was furious. Bald old dean, why are you here? I've told you 10,000 times that the Tran family will not return to Thuan Academy. The bald old man fixed his hair and said, you think I came here to take this broken family of yours, but I came here to pick up Tran Tiny. Hearing that, Dao suddenly woke up in panic. Director Lian pointed at Tai Ni and said that Ni had just voluntarily signed the agreement. Tai Ni's face now feels very guilty. Dao Nian was extremely angry with his sister. Why did she do that? The dean immediately smiled sinisterly. This American Tran Tai was pointed out by Mr. Bakengok as the successor of his predecessor. If he used the name of his successor to expand the territory, he would definitely be able to earn a large sum of money. He looked at Dao Nian with a sinister expression and said, Dao Nian, do you think sacrificing a woman in exchange for the happiness of the family is very beneficial? Then he laughed and said, leave Dao Nian, you are leaving because you want to find resources for a useless person like you. Hearing the dean's sarcastic words, Dao Nian's face was very angry. Tai Ni approached with her huge breasts and said, Brother Dean, you're like this because you're angry. Don't let it be in your heart that I'm doing something wrong to the family. Dao Nian was extremely angry. He said it right. His sister sacrificed herself for the good of the family. Dao Nian said, then angrily left. I left some spiritual food for you. You eat first. A hole appeared above the statue. Thunder rumbled. Below, the Taoist priest laid out delicious food and knelt down to pray. Old ancestor, you once said that if the family is in danger, you would come to help. Dao Nian clasped his hands and begged. Now the younger generation is unfilial, and the family is in ruins. I am about to die. I hope you can help save the family once more. The system of the second trial of the mainland is open. The goal is to help the descendants of Trandao Hienchan Hungia talk. The condition is that the host cannot directly take action and must let the descendants complete it themselves. Taoist closed his eyes and kept begging old ancestor, please come help me quickly. From now on, I will exchange tributes for you every day. Luminous sickle ID. Dao Nian suddenly felt the glare and immediately used his hand to cover his eyes from the light. Dao Nian happily said, could it be that the old ancestor is manifesting? Thunder and lightning kept crashing down. Hit the person of the Taoist priest and got his head and hair burned black. Angry said, damn it, called someone to help me, but they brought lightning to strike me. Dao Nian said, then angrily took off his pants and continued talking about his irresponsible old ancestor. I ate all the work and then watered myself awake. The old ancestor on the other side teleported the white jade man to the place where Dao Nian was peeing. Who would have thought he would pee on his head? Mr. Bakengok did not know anything. Oh, where are you taking me? Why is it raining again? Then they both looked up at each other with surprised expressions. Dao Nian jumped in shock, damn it, he's senior Mr. Bakengok. On this side, Mr. Bakengok was so angry that his hair was smoking. Damn it, you little brat. He quickly wiped holy water on his head and said, well done. You're lucky to be a descendant of Tran Huyan old ancestor. Oh, senior, you're back to manage the academy. Mr. Bakengok immediately pushed Dao Nian away and said, I don't care about the academy's affairs anymore. Then Mr. Bakengok immediately threw Dao Nian away. Now I will take you to see the old ancestor. He immediately jumped onto Dao Nian's body and flew away at a speed of thousands of kilometers per hour. With fast speed face, naturally, as if about to be torn open, tears and snot kept flowing out. After flying for a day, they arrived at the 9 deaths and 1 life. Mr. Bach Ngosh turned back to look at Dao Nian. Your ancestor was right in front of Dao Nian, and he kept vomiting as if he had just been airsick. After vomiting, he immediately wiped his mouth. Entering the temple, Dao Nian looked around and saw the scenery. He thought to himself, this is the palace of the elder. Why is the white jade so big? The white jade man pointed at this, your ancestor is over there. Dao Nian looked as if he was expecting something, but unexpectedly, the old ancestor was not dead and became the old ancestor's subordinate. He really has a future. The old man appeared sitting on a pile of trash. Now looking at the old man is no different than a vagabond. Dao Nian saw that and was extremely disappointed. He thought to himself, oh my god, that's my Tran family's ancestor. Why is he sleeping in a pile of trash? He looks like a gatekeeper for his senior. Suddenly there was a loud bang and the pile of trash appeared as a sparrow with extremely fierce eyes. It looked at Dao Nian and roared, making Dao Nian panic. Was it because it fell in love with the legendary Min Tuok? Dao Nian was immediately surprised and thought to himself, this is over. How dare the old ancestor sleep on him? Luckily, the senior was here. Dao Nian turned to look at Mr. Bakengok. It's over, my ancestor is about to be killed. Senior, hurry up and kill this bird. Seeing this, Mr. Bakengok's limbs went limp, and he immediately knelt down before the astonished Taoist priest. At this time, Mr. Bakengok invited the owner to stand up. The sparrow is also gentle. Look, the old man has brought his juniors. Dao Nian was surprised and immediately thought, oh, senior, why are you kneeling in front of my ancestor? Then the Min Tuok can also talk. Moreover, they all call my ancestor master, right? The old ancestor looked at him and said, okay, you guys go back first. The sparrow and Mr. Bakengok immediately bowed their heads and said, yes, master, to the astonishment of the Taoist priest. Behind Dao Nian's back, someone was flying towards him, and Dao Nian was still absorbed in talking about the old ancestor, the master of the senior, and the Min Tuok I am dreaming. Huin Than, with a pair of giant speakers holding a cow in his arms, is flying to Tu Lac to visit you. Now Huin Than flew over and hit Dao Nian, causing people to vomit blood. Huin Than put the big round pair of mountains on the old ancestor's face. I thank you for giving me the divine body and the black senior when the sect was in danger. The old ancestor breathed a sigh of relief while washing his face. This lady was a bit suffocating, but this little Luo I still have something to do. You go cook first. Seeing this, Dao Nian immediately imagined that this girl was not related, but was given a divine body by the old ancestor. The imperial capital also had a mutated black thunder ox python, and he was a relative of the same family. Oh my god. A hand appears. Dao Nian immediately greeted the old ancestor in a noble and elegant manner and asked his junior Tran Dao Nian to bow. The old ancestor saw this and immediately said, are you a junior asking for my help? My mouth stuttered. That's right. Because my family was in decline and I was in danger, I came to you. But in my heart, I'm delusional that if you let me choose any pet, the problem will be solved immediately. The old ancestor knew what Dao Nian was thinking in his palm and immediately created a fireball of energy. The fireball said, "Such a bad family manager, yet he still wants to ask for my things." The old ancestor, who had just finished speaking and was about to be punished, pointed at the ball and flew away. The 6 pulses point directly to the direction of the natural path. Then a burst of light appeared and continuously hit Dao Nian, causing him to bleed and scream. "Old ancestor, what are you doing to me?" The old man sat thinking and scolding. "What do you have the face to ask me to do with a failed family manager like you?" Sitting on the sparkling armor, the old ancestor looked at Dao Nian. "I will only destroy your cultivation and battle body." Hearing that Dao Nian was shocked. "Old ancestor, why did you do that? I originally had a fighting body and cultivation, but I was still called a waste. Now that I've lost everything, what can I call it?" The old ancestor looked at him with a cold face. "Don't be in a hurry, your punishment is not over yet." Then a giant alchemy furnace appeared, making Dao Nian extremely panicked. "The old ancestor is attentively reading a book. Why are you so annoying? I recently read a few books and I'm very interested in alchemy. You stay here and be my pill boy. It will probably take 10 days or half a month." "Dao Nian is not surprising, is it, old ancestor? You want me to stay here for 10 days? Then I won't be able to make it to my sister's match." A fierce look old ancestor glared. "You have no right to refuse from now on. My power will follow you like a shadow. Either you finish burning the alchemy furnace and I will let you go, or you deputy minister will die." Hearing that, Dao Nian was angry and thought, "Damn, this is my ancestor. Why is he so cruel to his own people?" 3 days after Trantine's match began, Trantine won the match. Just defeated an opponent and bowed his head. "Thank you for giving up." Everyone cheered for Trantine to win. On the stands, everyone was cheering while Tiny stood there thinking, "Since I decided to join the academy, where has my brother gone? Is he still angry with me?" The old dean sat stroking his beard, thinking that if he won the competition, he would turn Trantine into his senior's inheritance disciple. On this side, Dao Nian was still lighting the alchemy furnace. "After burning for a while, I was so tired that I sat down and complained that this fire was enough to burn all night. Then I took a nap. But the old ancestor stood behind me and shouted, making Dao Nian's soul fly up into the clouds. The old ancestor glanced at Dao Nian with extremely fierce eyes. "I forgot to mention that not only will you be deprived of your battle body and cultivation, but you will also be deprived of rest and food." Dao Nian saw his ancestor like that and was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He didn't even let him eat or rest. Even though he appeared scared on the outside, he was actually very angry inside. Was this guy even human? 7 days after Trantine's final competition, there were only cheers inside the martial arts world. Trantine only needed to defeat one more clan to become the strongest rookie. The last person to appear on stage was Diep Vu. As soon as he got on the stage, he pointed at Trantine. Unexpectedly, she agreed to join the academy. Tiny looked at him with hatred and snorted, "Wait until I defeat you. I will get the best resources for my brother. At that time, he will prove that he is a genius." Vu Mac immediately laughed in contempt. "Ha ha, that useless guy still needs to prove it." Hearing the contemptuous words, Tiny used her sword technique and a spirit statue appeared behind her Baklok. What made everyone in the audience gasp in awe was the spirit statue of the Bailok swordplay. The dean looked down and thought to himself, "Vu Mac is a fool who has never won a battle against me in 10,000 years. Then Tiny jumped up holding the sword and stabbing straight towards Vu Mac Het. "You have to apologize to my brother quickly." Vu Mac smiled sinisterly. "You're all so excited." Having said that, he immediately used his twin battle moves to punch the prince straight in the stomach. The child was sent flying backwards, his face showing great pain. Everyone in the audience was amazed. The director stood up. "Wait, what is that?" Then he thought, "Isn't that the rare twin battle body that the senior left to the academy?" The people in the stands were all shocked. "There are 2 rain leaves that make me dizzy." Deep Vu let him laugh and point his finger, saying, "Ha ha, Trantine, you admit defeat." The dean looked down at DM Vu, who was wearing a mask as if he had gotten that twin battle body from someone his senior left, for someone with a predestined relationship. "Where did you get it from?" Diep Vu laughed smugly. "Ha ha, I can get the twin battle body thanks to Tran Dao Nian." Hearing that, everyone was stunned. Vu Mac's name, as he said thoughtfully. "That day when he fed me pear poop, I had to go to the academy's bathroom to vomit all morning, but I didn't expect that the twin battle bodies were kept in the bathroom by the senior." Hearing that, everyone vomited. The dean also covered his mouth and thought, "No wonder I couldn't find him, even though the whole academy was full." Vu Mac immediately strangled Tai Nai. "The story of you forcing me to eat pear dung is not over yet." He strangled Tai Ni and lifted her up high. "I originally wanted to find him to settle the score, but these days I haven't found him or you kneel down for him. Apologize to me." Tiny looked at him without fear. "Don't even dream about it." Hearing Tiny say that he slapped Tiny in the face. Tiny got swollen after receiving a slap. Vu Mac proudly said, "If you don't kneel, then I will beat you until you kneel." Then his hand waved up. Slapped Tiny straight in the face again, blood splattered everywhere. To the amazement of everyone in the stands, one of them stood up and shouted, "Director, there is no such competition." The director stood in silence for a while. Then suddenly he shouted, "Vumak, continue going. Even if you killed Tran Tai Ni, the consequences will be yours to bear. Make people helpless," he said, and then thought that now Diep Vumak has the twin battle body that the senior left behind. This is much stronger than Tran Tai Ni, who was instructed. If he takes him out later, my territory will definitely expand several times. On the stage, Vumak laughed loudly. "Haha, Tran Tai Ni, did you hear anything? The director just said that killing her is fine. But killing you is too easy for you. I have thought of a more interesting punishment." He looked at Tiny with a sly look. "Now I will help you become him." Then kicked Tiny's thigh. Nut's broken leg bone caused her great pain. On this side, Dao Nian did not know what happened to his nose and was still diligently burning the furnace to refine pills. "I'm so tired of enduring the pressure that has been burning for so many days now, it still won't stop." Suddenly, the jade pendant suddenly glowed and robbed the newspaper. Tran Tai Ni was crippled by Diep Vu Mak Tuvi. In front of the eyes, there was only a faint breath. "Please invite the family head to return quickly." Dao Nian heard that and immediately collapsed. "Is my sister in danger?" Looking up at the old ancestor, Dao Nian immediately begged the old ancestor. "My sister is in danger. I must return. Please let me go." The old ancestor calmly replied, "No, the pill is almost done." Dao Nian asked many times with an impatient face, but everyone said it was almost done. No matter what Dao Nian said, the three of them were still leisurely sunbathing. Dao Nian was immediately angry in his heart. "My sister is about to die. You guys are still here making things difficult for me. I see that he wants to find a reason to kill me. Then there is." After a moment of thinking, Dao Nian walked towards that bastard Tran Huyan. "If you want to kill, come here. I know that trash has pushed the family to the brink, but I've tried my best. Now my sister is about to die, and you still want to lock me here." Hearing this, Bakangok and Queen Than turned around and looked at this kid. "What do you want?" Dao Nian with extremely angry eyes. "Instead of being imprisoned watching you die, I might as well try to kill this guy." Saying that, Dao Nian jumped up and used all his strength to punch the old ancestor. Then suddenly felt something unusual in my body, so I stopped. Wait, my innate lightning light body is spinning again. Huin Than immediately jumped out with white skin, swallowing curses like, "You dare to be so rude to the old ancestor who raised you? Don't you look back to see what changes are happening to your body?" Only then did Dao Nian stand there lost in thought. Wasn't my spirit vein extremely narrow before? Why is it so wide now? Moreover, my condensing spirit realm was already destroyed, so why did it turn into the transforming spirit realm now? Both of them stood there looking at each other, constantly blaming each other. The old ancestor wants the best for you. Do you think the old ancestor wants to kill you these past few days? Mr. Baknangok explained that at that time the old ancestor only sealed your battle body. Destroying someone's cultivation is actually to seal your cultivation, but he continuously releases pressure to seal your speed. Not letting you rest is to seal your physical strength. All of this is to give you a new body. Said then suddenly the alchemy furnace shook. A ray of light filled the furnace lid and flew up. That ray of light flew out, stabbed straight into the person of the natural way. Unexpectedly, this is one of the 10 great ancient battle bodies that surpass even the divine body. It is the Four Winds battle body. At this moment, Dao Nian saw it and happily said, "It seems like my strength has been enhanced by this battle body. It turns out that the old ancestor did it all for his own good. Why did that stranger treat me like that before?" Hearing this, the White Jade Master explained that he had to seal your 4 powers and at the same time stimulate your anger as a conductor, so the new master kept provoking you, and your recent anger had reached its peak, so your battle body had just been refined. Actually, before you arrived, the old ancestor was busy all night choosing a battle body for you. Furthermore, activating the Four-Wind battle body requires sacrificing life essence. At that time, the old ancestor had to sacrifice 1,000 years of his life to be able to do that. Huin Than, with her round butt, looked at Dao Nian with envy. "The old ancestor has never cared about me like this, but you still feel that the old ancestor is cruel to you." Dao Nian was extremely surprised. It turned out that the mountain of trash was a god. What happened to my body? Why didn't the old ancestor say he wanted the best for me, but acted as if he wanted to kill me? Hearing that, the two immediately ran over and whispered in Dao's ear that the old ancestor had a strange and arrogant personality. Every time he wanted to give us something good, he always beat around the bush. The old ancestor sitting here heard what they were saying and thought, "Damn you guys, what are you guys talking about? I'm always so arrogant. It's because the system doesn't let me give it directly, so I'm beating around the bush. Even the system showed up blaming me, so these past few days, you've been lying to me that you want to punish Dao Nian, but actually you're giving him good things." The old ancestor smiled innocently. "Ha ha ha, I didn't give him my hand anyway." Hearing that the system was also helpless. Suddenly, with a thud, Dao Nian knelt down behind the old ancestor. "I would like to thank the old ancestor for giving me the body. This unfilial junior just offended the old ancestor. Please punish me." The old ancestor waved his hand and said, "Don't talk nonsense. I won't give you anything. Also, this ceremony is for kneeling before your father. Dao Nian's face was sad as he remembered his father who passed away when he was very young. He's like a hypocrite to me, said Dao Nian, burst into tears. So thank you, everyone, just like my father. The old man heard this and glanced at him with emotion. Hearing that the old ancestor was moved and glanced at him, then he stood up and advised the man not to cry easily. It's just a small battle body, but I, the old ancestor, am still here. Then suddenly the old ancestor burst into tears and cried, Old ancestor, I will give you an additional divine weapon. In times of danger, you can save your life. Said, and then both hugged each other and cried before the astonishment of Mr. Bakengok and Tulak. Ching Ching's face is so silly men don't cry easily. A strong wind blew through. Dao Nian flew away and said goodbye, leaving the old man sobbing. Mr. Bakengok and Queen Than stood watching and said this kid with this fighting body has boundless future. Then suddenly the old man remembered, open the system screen and think about it. I accidentally gave the divine weapon to Dao Nian just now, but why didn't this stupid system stop me? Could it be a bug? A shabby house of the Tran family. Tran Tai Ni was lying on a bed, her tattered clothes revealing her attractive curves and undulating hills. The man named Mac Vu is holding a document in his hand. I advise your Tran family to join Thuan Academy, or I will expel your Tran family. A member of the Tran family came forward to apologize to the previous patriarch for throwing away this family petition. Let me sign it. He immediately smiled sinisterly in his heart, haha. Actually, I have colluded to join Thuan Academy. Before now that I sign this form, the benefits will be the most. Suddenly, there was a flash of lightning and the voice of the great elder. I have only been away for a few days, but he was surprised to hear it. A fist at the approaching lightning, and you dare decide for me. A punch straight to the face of the elder. After receiving the punch, he immediately learned syrup. Dao naturally appeared with a battle body. With extremely cool lightning, the two people of the Tran family laughed happily. The master is back. Mac Vu laughed at the trash and returned. Your grand elder did that. It was just following the flow. Dao Nian heard that and immediately grabbed the hand and tore up the negotiating table in front of Mac Vu's astonishment. After tearing it up, Dao Nian looked at him with hatred in his eyes. He shut up and wanted me to join the force that harmed his sister. Don't even dream about it. Dao Nian walked over and looked at him. Dep Vu Mac, do you dare to fight to the death with me? If I lose to the whole family, you can do whatever you want. Hearing that the elder was shocked, he said, You want us to die together, master? That's not possible. Naturally, with eyes full of hatred, shut up, said, and then kicked the elder straight in the head. Vu Mac looked at Dao Nian and laughed. How interesting. Can openly kill the place I pray for. Dao Nian looked at him with determination. See you tomorrow on the stage. The next day, in the bustling atmosphere, the strongest of the academy fought against the weakest of the academy. The battle to the death began. On the stage, Dao Nian and Vu Mac were looking at each other. Outside the stands, everyone was talking about, oh my gosh, Tran Dao Nian dared to challenge Deep Vu to a life and death battle. The dean looked down and laughed. Vu Mac don't need to hold back. Hit me hard. Vu Mac laughed contemptuously. Ha ha, trash. Don't say I bullied you. Think about where your family's grave should be buried. Dao Nian looked at him with a disdainful expression. Oh, it was only thanks to me that Nat found the inheritance of the senior in the toilet. Dao Nian said, then his eyes turned red, and a spirit statue appeared behind him. Making Mac Vu sweat profusely thinking about what's going on, Tran Dao Nian's imposing aura. So what? Dao Nian flew to his hand and clenched his fist, apologizing to Diep Vu Mac. Dao Nian said, then threw a sharp punch at Vu Mac. He saw the punch full of spirit, right. It seems like this guy. Then he tensed up to create a defensive shield that repelled the attack and sent it flying back. Dao Nian flew straight down and destroyed the martial arts arena. Vu Mac looked confused as if he didn't know what was happening. The director laughed until he cried, Ha ha, what a waste. Everyone was stunned. Vu Mac, he walked back to Tran Dao Nian in vain. Just now, I thought you had some ability. He pointed at Dao's face and looked down on him. I didn't expect that you would be defeated after just a little defense. Dao Nian stood up with a dumbfounded expression. Sorry, this is the first time I've used the new battle body. I forgot to release the seal. Say Dao Nian and release the seal. Gathering all his strength, he grabbed Vu's face and pressed it down, shattering the entire arena. Made the dean's eyes and mouth wide open and everyone panic. Dao Nian closed his eyes and smiled smugly. This was so surprising that killing a Wu Mo was as easy as turning over one's hand. When he opened his eyes, he was extremely surprised to see that Vu Mac had disappeared. Turns out he used the twin battle body move, he said. Luckily, the biggest benefit of the twin battle body is that it can avoid a fatal wound. Otherwise, I would have died at your hands. He immediately used the 4 great forbidden techniques. Immediately appeared the statues of Bai Lok, Phoenix Tiger, and Grizzly Bear. Make everyone panic. The dean saw this and thought, haha, good talent. With Vu Mac here, our academy's future will definitely be limitless. Below the name Vu wearing the spirit statues is going to Dao Nian to die. Below the name Vu wearing the spirit statues is going to Dao Nian to die. But I don't just have power. Saying that Dao Nian immediately released his speed. He flew forward as fast as lightning and punched and kicked Vumak and the spirit elephants. On the arena, the spirit elephants and twin battle bodies were all blown up, leaving only Vumak. Make the name of the director, and everyone was full of surprise. Oh my God, is this Tran Dao Nian? Dao Nian heard everyone's praise, so his nose grew longer. What is the twin above? The senior is also the younger brother of my ancestor. Moreover, he once peed on his face. Vumak held his stomach and shouted, "Insolent! How dare you insult this senior?" Hearing that Dao Nian pointed straight at his face. It seems you haven't seen a dead end yet, and haven't regretted it yet. Then Dao Nian immediately released his strength and flying speed to give Vumak another kick. Then released the God Realm and pulled the light body to punch Vumak in the stomach. One more final blow, Dao Nian gathered all his strength and thundered punching Vu to destroy the entire arena. Pull your hand up. Dao Nian scratched his head and apologized. Then he boasted that he had 2 Tai-Tu body and twin legs. Hear that name, Blood Union Director? And everyone is surprised when he became a first-class god. Isn't that pale-faced Dean a legendary war machine? Vumak, he got up laughing, haha, impossible. A piece of trash like a star can beat me, you must be paranoid, I must be dreaming. Dao Nian looked at him like a madman, his hand was gathering spiritual energy. Are you high on drugs? Dai said, and then hit Vumak in the head. Received a fatal palm strike, his bones could not bear it, and made a cracking sound. Then he collapsed and lay motionless on the floor. Everyone in the stands was stunned. Today I bring you a story about a young man named Tran Huyen. Is a young man who has crossed over into time and has a dirty doll system, after a while when he became the strongest person of this continent. Preparing to cross over to the next continent, the system entered an update state so the young man could not cross over. Because he is currently the top 1 server with no rivals, Tran Huyen only knows, secluded in the Hongmong continent, making friends with ancient beasts. After 990 years, the sect that Tran Huyen founded was once the top sect and now has fallen into decline. The current sect master of the sect has no choice but to find Tran Huyen to help revive Lai sect. At this time, Tran Huyen's system has finished updating, also the return of top 1 server. Please follow along to see how things unfold.